Hey everybody, Arnaldo here, broadcasting from Fidelios Frequency. Welcome to my channel. Part 2 of my recap of 2023. I already posted one video showing the best of the rest, which are the albums that didn't make my top 10. This video will be talking about the top 10 albums, or my favorite 10 albums of the year, plus an additional surprise. Yes, because this is my list, this is my channel, this is my video. I could say it's a top 10 plus one because I wanted to talk about an additional album that almost made the top 10 that I wanted to highlight in addition to the best of the rest from the other video. I'd like to preface one thing about my list. I'm not a rock critic, nor am I a musician. These are the albums that mattered most to me this year. Whether they gave me joy, pleasure in listening to them, whether they made me dance, they made me smile, they brought a tear to my eye, they marked a specific time, occasion throughout the year. Maybe they're the albums that I listen to the most, and some of them are. Although some of the albums I listened to the most were also in the other video that I did of the best of the rest. But what I wanted to say is that this is my list. Not necessarily they are the critically most acclaimed albums, nor by some people they may not be the best. Some of them are mainstream, some are less mainstream. In the end, this is what I like. This is what really made an impact on my listening experience of 2023. So yeah, there'll probably be snarky comments, but you forgot this one, and how could you include that one? No way that one's better than the other one. All your comments are appreciated, but this is the one video of the year where I think my opinion matters above everyone else's. So I think that's enough. Let's talk about these 10 plus one albums of the year. I'd like to start with the plus one, an album that didn't make it into the top 10, an album that I listened to a lot, came out in September. I didn't get a chance to talk about it in my recap, quarterly recap, nor new release roundup that I have been doing on my channel. And there are actually a few other albums that didn't make it into then because of time constraints. And this is one of them. Tension by Kylie Minogue, also just known as Kylie. Kylie is probably as popular as Madonna in Australia and in Europe for sure, in the UK. Not as popular in the United States. She was. Her major hit, most of you know it already, Can't Get You Out of My Head. I think that was like 2000. She's still making music. She's been making music for 30 years, I want to say, or at least a good 30, early 90s probably. Fun album. Dance, pop dance, great hooks, great pop songs. Padam Padam. How can you write a more perfect pop song than Padam Padam? Catchy tune, cute lyrics, great vocals by Kylie Minogue. Hold On To Now, Tension, the name of the album, and also the title track. Great song to dance to. Great videos, by the way, so check out her videos as well. So honorable mention, I want to call it honorable mention. Let's call it number 11, my plus one, outside by a smidge from my top 10, Kylie and Tension. So here we are, finally at the top 10. Number 10 on my list is the debut album by a, don't want to say obscure, but for sure lesser known artists of 2023. I did a album spotlight when this album came out. That's how much it impressed me. Very young. She or they are, I guess, just barely 20. I'm talking about Tiana Esperanza's debut album called Terror. What an album, beautiful voice. Tiana is the granddaughter, I believe, of one of the founding members of the Slits punk group, female punk group. And you can hear it for sure on a couple of these tracks, her punk roots, but also her Spanish roots. Granada is one of my favorite songs on the album, but opening track, Terror, kind of sounds a little bit like PJ Harvey, the angry PJ Harvey. Princess Slit and the Raincoat Prince almost sounds a bit like, has a riff almost of like Susie and the Banshees. And a little bit reminiscent of Led Zeppelin. There's a jazzy track, there's a soulful track, collaborations or features by Valerie June, Rachel Yamagata, and Mick Flannery. You want to know more about this album? Just check out my album spotlight video that I did a few months back, actually towards the beginning of the year. Tiana Esperanza, number 10, Terror. It took them a good part of 25 years to make a new studio album, but what an album. I am glad they are back, and I'm talking about Everything But the Girl, their album called Fuse. Fantastic return, fantastic album. It's a chill album. Listen to this album in the evening, maybe after you've come out, you've gone out clubbing, come home, or on your drive home. Listen to this album in the car. Great sounds by Everything But the Girl. A couple of more chill songs, a couple more upbeat songs. The album opener, Nothing Left to Lose. Great video. Tracy Thorn's voice has aged a bit, has not lost any of her charm. Still beautiful vocals by Tracy Thorn. Lovely electronic, let's call it electronic, moods created by Ben Watt for a much welcomed, needed return by Everything But the Girl. The name of the album is Fuse. That is my number 9 album of 2023. So I had a few albums queued up for my new release roundup that I never got around to making a video of. One of those albums is a surprise for me. I knew of this band. They have been making music since 2000. I heard maybe 1 or 2 of their albums, previous albums. They hadn't made an album in 16 years. I'm talking about the 7th album by the band called The Clientele. I Am Not There Anymore. It actually came on my radar because I was reading glowing reviews about this album. Someone else also suggested this album to me, so I decided to check it out, and I was blown away. What does it sound like? Indie pop, chamber pop, almost a little bit maybe. Some people have labeled, I hate labeling genres, but contemporary classical, or with a little bit of post-bop jazz. These are all critics' labels thrown out there. Alistair MacLean is the main vocalist of the album. It is a 3-piece band with additional members. His voice reminds me a little bit of Cat Stevens, a little bit of Nick Drake, a little bit of Scott Walker, so you get the style of singing there. A lot of strings on here, along with a lot of electronic elements. Some of my favorite songs on here, obviously, many have talked about in terms of reviews, Lady Grey and Fables of the Silver Link, which is the opening track. So if you haven't heard about The Clientele or haven't heard this album and you like what I just said about them, in terms of, or at least they piqued your interest, definitely give I Am Not There Anymore a chance. Coming in at number 8 on my top 2023 list. The next album, when it came out, I streamed it to death. It was probably my favorite workout album, listening to it in my earbuds. I decided finally to buy a physical copy of it. I'm talking about the new album by Queens of the Stone Age called In Times New Roman. You probably know what the Queens of the Stone Age sound like. Rock, for sure. High energy rock. In Times New Roman. Obviously, play of words. All of the tracks, the title tracks, are plays on words. Obscenery, paper machete, made to parade, carnivore. Classic Queens of the Stone Age. If you like Queens of the Stone Age, you gotta like this album. I've been listening, I think this is the album I listened to the most since Like Clockwork. That's the name of it. So you'll probably like I said, like Queens of the Stone Age, In Times New Roman if you like Queens of the Stone Age. If you like high energy rock, there's something about Queens of the Stone Age music that is very sensual and sexy. The rhythm section, the drums, guitar, and bass intertwined, for me, exude something sexual. So love the Queens of the Stone Age. Josh Homme, leader of Queens of the Stone Age, has had some health problems. It's been a while since he had reconvened with his bandmates, but glad he did and came out with this new album, In Times New Roman, in 2023. And this is album number 7 on my top 10 of 2023. So from one high energy album to an album that is calmer, for sure. Haunting, eerie, dark, wonderful though. Probably my favorite album. One of my favorite albums by PJ Harvey. Inside the Old Year Dying. Love this album. This is one of those times when, again, like the previous one I talked about, Queens of the Stone Age, I listened to it quite a bit, streamed it until I pulled the plug. I said, this is a great album. I need to have this. You know, I need to have the physical copy kind of situation. Eerie, haunting, dark. She sings beautifully. I want to say it's a little spooky. Beautiful melodies, beautiful lyrics. Oh, the lyrics. I don't really know what language. Is it archaic English? Probably. But she uses words that I've never heard before in all of the lyrics. And at the bottom of the lyric sheet and the insert, there's little asterisks that actually give you translations of what the common term, the common word for the word that she is using is. So PJ Harvey didn't feature this. I wanted to previously, been listening to it since it came out in summer, I guess. Inside the Old Year Dying, number 6 on my top 10 2023. Supergroups don't always work well. In this case, this supergroup works perfect. Yes, I think the sum of all the parts is greater than the individual band members. I was only partly familiar with some of the individual previous work of these band members until this album came out. Boy Genius is the name of the band. Lucy Dacus, Phoebe Bridgers, and Julian Baker are the members of the band. They could not fit three individual artists or match 3 individual artists together to form a group better than Boy Genius. It sounds like they were meant to play together. They were meant to write together, and most of all, sing together. Their voices alternate, blend together beautifully. Alternative, indie, popish at times, sometimes folky, but it works so well. The Record is the name of the album by Boy Genius. Some of the songs that I really love, I've spoken about this album before. Check out my recap video on my channel. Without You, Without Them, more of a cappella folky kind of song. The Upbeat, $20 Bill, Emily, I'm Sorry, very catchy tunes. Cool About It kind of reminds me a little bit of Simon and Garfunkel. Check out this album, coming in at number 5 on my top 10 of 2023, Boy Genius, the record. Sometime around June or July, I made a video, very enthusiastic video, about what I thought was going to be my album of the year. And up until then, it probably was. And other albums jumped ahead of it, because the more you listen to albums, the more you either like them or get tired of them, right? I don't say I got tired of this, but a few albums ran in front of it when I came towards the end of the year to compile my list. Nonetheless, a fantastic album. Didn't make the top 3 just by a little bit, but I won't talk a lot about this album. I did a whole video about it, so check out my channel. Talking about Gabriel's Angels and Queens. Gabriel's put out part 1 of this album towards the end of last year, 2022, I believe. This is the part 1 plus additional songs to fill out a 2-album set. Jacob Lusk, beautiful voice, lead singer of this trio. Some of the songs that I'd like to highlight above all of them: Angels and Queens, obviously. Opening track, The Offering, followed by The Blind. Professional, beautiful cover of Will We Remember, which is the theme by Barbra Streisand, The Way We Were, right? It's kind of interpolated. He sings it beautifully. Jazzy at times. Definitely a lot of soul and gospel and beautiful, beautiful string arrangements. Coming in at number 4, Angels and Queens by Gabriel's. 2023 saw the return of one of my favorite bands. I've been following them since 1999, I believe, when they first came out with their first release. At the time, they were called Anthony and the Johnsons. Now, Anthony has transitioned a few years ago to Anon, and the last release was a kind of like a solo effort called Hopelessness by Anon. Now again, back with the Johnsons. A new album by Anon and the Johnsons called My Back Was a Bridge for You to Cross. Tribute to Marsha P. Johnson, who actually is the inspiration for the name of the band. Beautiful album. If you're familiar with Anoni's music or Anthony and the Johnsons' music, you probably know what you're getting. Beautifully recorded, played, arranged, soulful. That's what Anon is about. His vocals always have a very soulful delivery. Very unique voice. Some of the songs, probably one of my favorite songs of the year is the opening track of this album, It Must Change. Scapegoat, another one of my favorite on here. Why Am I Alive Now? All of these songs on this album, very emotional. I find them very emotional. The delivery is just very intimate, very heartfelt, especially on one of the songs, Sliver of Ice, where Anon remembers fondly one of her best friends, Lou Reed. So coming in at number 3 as one of my favorite albums of 2023, Anon and the Johnsons, My Back Was a Bridge for You to Cross. The next album was a little bit of a surprise to me when it was announced. Damon Albarn had just released maybe 2 or 3 months earlier, and I spoke about this in my other video, his album as The Gorillas, which I believe came out, I think, February, and then shortly after was announced, and I spoke about this album in the Best of the Rest video. Go check that one out. When all of a sudden we get an announcement for a new Blur album, and I think it was June, or June or July, when we got The Ballad of Darren coming in at number 2, my second favorite album of 2023. I knew it from the first time I listened to this when it came out on the day of release that it was something special. For sure, my favorite Blur album. It is introspective. Maybe you want to say it's a little sad. So beautiful. More strings on here. The way Damon sings on these tracks is just like very intimate, almost a little maybe mournful at times. Yes, there are the upbeat songs, The Narcissist, Barbaric. A couple of these songs remind me of David Bowie. The arrangements a little bit kind of echo something on Scary Monsters, like It's No Game. Maybe one track reminds me a little bit of China Girl, but I cannot stress how good this album is. Mature album by the band, very different than their last album, which came out I think maybe 5-6 years ago, which was a great album, but this album just tops it. Tops their last album as well as any of their other albums. Love this album so much. Blur, The Ballad of Darren, almost my favorite album of the year, coming in at number 2. So you finally made it to the end of the video. Whether you fast forwarded, you clicked ahead just to find out which one is my favorite album of the year, or you watched through the entire thing, and thank you so much. But here we are, without further ado, my favorite album of the year. Did you know that there is a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard by Lana Del Rey? When I first talked about this album in one of my earlier videos in the year, I said, if you love Lana Del Rey, you'll definitely love this album. If you're a fan, you'll definitely love it. May not be essential, and it doesn't really add much, maybe, to the story that Lana Del Rey has been telling throughout her career. And man, was I wrong, especially on the last 2 points. It does add a lot, and it goes to show you that sometimes you need to really listen to albums over and over and over, not only to appreciate them more, but more importantly, to connect with them. And that's probably why this is the album that struck me the most, that is dear to my heart in 2023. I for sure knew that it was in my top 3, but it wasn't until recently, last month, when a long drive through the Keys all the way to Key West, the album came on, or we decided to play this album. I wasn't driving, so I was a passenger. And maybe it was the combination of the mood, for sure, that we were in, the scenery that we were driving through, beautiful scenery of the Keys if you've never done the drive through the Keys all the way to Key West. And at that point is when I realized how much I connected with this album, how much it really meant to me. And that's what it really all comes down to, right? Whether an album makes you dance, or a song makes you dance, makes you rock, makes you happy, makes you sad. Sometimes albums bring you to tears, sometimes like this one. And sometimes they help you just like let it all out, right? And those are the albums that are really special. Something that give you something unique when you listen to it, right? And it differs from one person to the other. So I appreciate other people appreciating other music. And these are very personal lists. And this album is very personal. And the themes on this album that Lana Del Rey explores are very personal. And I think it's probably one of her most personal works. She talks about friends, her family, her relationship with her friends and her family. She talks about mortality and the desire maybe to be a mother. All of that makes this a very unique album from Lana Del Rey. Up there for me in my list of favorite Lana Del Rey albums, right alongside Norman Rockwell as well as Honeymoon. So that's why this is my album of the year. Also because I'm kind of obsessed with Lana Del Rey, I can't help it. Here's the censored variant, another variant, and another variant. So yeah, I guess you figured out by now what a fan of Lana Del Rey I have become. Did you know that there is a tunnel under Ocean Boulevard? My favorite album of 2023. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you have not yet, thank you for subscribing. And if you have not yet subscribed and you like what you see, please consider doing so. You can show your appreciation with a like, or you can also dislike it if you disagree with me. That's totally fine. Please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of about the albums that I chose. I know I may have missed a ton of other albums. Can't listen to everything. There's so much music out there. Amongst the albums that I did listen to, these were the ones that really struck a chord with me. And I've already started discovering, after I compiled my list, other albums that were off my radar that I forgot about or that I missed. So maybe if I do this same exercise of reviewing 2023 a year from now, the list will change, most possibly. I doubt I'll change my mind about this one. But again, that was it for 2023. I wish you all the best for 2024. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.